Now welcome to this QJamtracks tutorial. Now triads are the purest form of a chord and exists of only 3 notes. They come in many forms like major, minor, diminished, augmented and suspended. Even 7 chords can be reduced to 3 essential notes. Now we play these notes every day when strumming, arpeggiating and even in sweep picking mayhem licks. What is less known and maybe less common is to play these triads as so-called spread triads. These sound much more open and translucent than their common counterparts. So in this video we're going to see what the spread triad is and how it can suit you to create another way of playing very melodic lines using these spread triads, like the great guitarist Eric Johnson, for instance, or Pat Metheny and Plini, to name just a few. So what is a spread triad? Now when we look at a common triad, say a C major chord, C major triad, we'll see 3 notes: the root, the major third and the perfect fifth. These 3 notes together form the C major triad, like you see here. Now when we raise the middle note an octave, the major third in this case, the distance between the bottom note and the top note will become wider than an octave. And when this happens we speak of a spread triad. Now you could say the triad is spread over a larger frequency scope, and therefore it will sound wider, more open and more transparent than the common voicing of a triad. Sound when using spread triads can go in all directions, but a very good example is the song Unquitty Roads by jazz guitarist Pat Metheny. Although written in 1974, it sounds very modern. Pat Metheny uses a chain of spread triads centered around the A and E Lydian mode, and the intro goes something like this. But the sound can also be classical, especially when chaining inversions of the same chord. Of course, spread triads can also be used for soloing in plain rock songs or even creating riffs, but we'll see that later on with examples of well-known songs. Now when approaching spread triads, it's best to take a systematic strategy to practice this in an efficient way. Now we're going to take the following approach. First, we're going to look at the spread triads of the root position in just one simple major key. After that, we're going to explore the inversion of the chord. Then we'll take the chord progression and project the ideas on the different chords of that chord progression. And after that, we are going to add notes for more color. And finally, we're going to look how spread triads are used in well-known music and in common examples. In a major key we find 3 types of chords: major chords, minor chords and diminished chords. Now you can play 3 versions of each chord type. 1 with a root on the 6th string, 1 with a root on the 5th string and 1 with a root on the 4th string. A spread triad of a major chord would consist of the note C, the perfect 5th G and the 3rd E, in that order. And here are the 3 versions, or better 3 voicings. Try to avoid to grab them as a bar chord. Use just the top of your fingers to make a clean sound. Maybe first arpeggiating them using your fingers, plectrum with either downstrokes or alternate picking, or even hybrid picking. The spread triad on a minor chord consists of the root, the perfect 5th and minor 3rd, in that order. Again, we have 3 versions with the root on the 6th, the root on the 5th and the root on the 4th string. The diminished spread triad would consist of a root, a minor 3rd and a diminished 5th. All the spread triads in the root position in the C major key on the lowest 4 strings go like this. All the spread triads in the root position in the C major key on the middle 4 strings go like this. And all the spread triads in the root position in the C major key on the highest 4 strings go like this. And in a simple chord progression where I use only root positions, you could do this. Playing inversions of the spread triads will keep the riffs in the same position more or less and offer much more cohesion between the chords. And we can use 2 types of inversions. The first inversion, as it's called, occurs when we lower the third 1 octave. Now the third of the chord lies in the bass. And we may call this also a drop 2 voicing. Now the second inversion is a voicing where the fifth of the chord is dropped an octave. And this is also called a drop 3 voicing. Now we can start to practice the inversions by playing all the inversions with the bass note on the 6th string, and after that we will play them with the bass note on the 5th string, and finally we are going to play the inversion with the bass note on the 4th string. Now here are the root positions and inversions of the spread triad on the bottom 4 strings. Here are the root positions and inversions of the spread triad on the middle 4 strings. And finally, here are the root positions and inversions of the spread triad on the top 4 strings. Now a good musical example would be a 1-4-5-1 progression in the key of C major, using these inversions. The first round I will play only root positions, and the second round I'll use the inversions. I think you heard that the progression with inversions glues much more together, right? Of course you can do the minor shapes too, like this. Now, knowing all the shapes will let you play the inversions centered around the same position, like in this example with the A minor chord. Now you'll notice the classical feel, and that is logical because this technique was used in many classical etudes by many classical composers. And another great idea which I picked up from Rick Beato, and check out his awesome channel, is to lead in every inversion of the spread triad with a half step, like this example in A minor. Now you are playing groups of 4 notes which can help you to play specific rhythm figures. You notice a kind of harmonic movement too, that gives a sense of a resolving, like a 5-1 relationship, and that's caused by that leading tone. Now, and if you want to use this in a non-classical setting, just add a note of the scale at the end of the spread triad, so you can use it to improvise, for instance. Now to practice these spread triads, you can take any chord progression and turn them into spread triads, or just improvise over any given chord progression with spread triads. Now Dominic Miller, the guitarist that works with Sting, uses the spread triads in the song Shape of My Heart, on which the whole song is based. Eric Johnson uses them in the intro of his song Cliffs of Dover. Now you can also practice spread triads in root positions and inversions with a so-called chain of dominance within the key, like this progression in E minor that is loosely based on this idea. This is a typical Baroque and early classical progression and does resemble the music of the great composers like Johann Sebastian Bach, Domenico Scarlatti, Antonio Vivaldi, and not to forget the Dutch composer and teacher Jan Pieterszoon Sweelinck or Jan Pieterszoon Sweelinck. And you can play spread triads in a simple rock song as an intro. So as you can see, plenty of possibilities to practice and create some nice music with the aid of spread triads. Now you could go one step further and create spread triads for 7 chords and even for modal flavored triads, but I'll leave that to you for now. I hope this was useful for you and you can benefit from this tutorial. So greets from the Netherlands, and I see you next time in the QJamtracks tutorial or backing track. And I want to thank you for subscribing, for liking and being my patron for some of you. Thank you so very much. Bye.